Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, because today we are going to be talking about what I believe is the most controversial Nintendo Switch game to date, probably of all time, that has an interesting tale that nobody really knew happened until today. Now, this isn't some small budget hentai game on the Switch eShop that maybe has a booby in it that parents are upset about. No, this is a AAA production. This was a game that had a large budget, came out at $60, had a demo release for it. It released across multiple platforms as well, but the Switch version was arguably the worst version of the game. The game in question is, of course, Balan Wonderworld. Now, this is a game that we've talked about a lot on this channel. I thought it was going to be a really fun game. I thought that the core mechanics that we had seen from the game were interesting. They looked cool. It seemed like a unique idea where you had all these different characters that you would play as, all these characters having different abilities, and that's how you would get through levels. But of course, the final product came out and it was like, what the hell happened here? This is not a good game. This is not a polished game. This game feels a bit incomplete. And once again, there was a demo released for the game. I believe it came out a month or two before the release of it. I made a video on it and I was shocked. I was appalled by this game because it sucked. The core mechanics, the ideas that were implemented seemed like they were going to be good, but there were so many weird things about Balan that just didn't make sense. At the head of Balan was the legendary Yuji Naka, which made it an even more bitter pill to swallow because I really like Yuji Naka. Looking back at his catalog of games, this man has been a producer or a programmer on so many awesome games. Do you need some examples? Well, good, because I have some queued up for you. You ever heard of a character called Sonic the Hedgehog? He kind of came up with that, you know. There was games like Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles. This man was the programmer for these games, the creator essentially of Sonic the Hedgehog. Nights into Dreams, which I still think is a super underrated game. Phantasy Star Online, Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast. Like, looking at his list of games, there's a lot of great games. Now, of course, there's always going to be games that didn't really meet quality standards that people didn't like, but that's just the nature of the industry. I don't think anyone has a great track record of just all complete hits. There's going to be some duds in there. And honestly, over the past few years, it seemed like Yuji Naka was maybe losing his touch a bit. Now, I always said that I liked the core idea of Balan Wonderworld. It was just the execution literally drove me to smashing a can on my head, as shown in my video on the demo of this game. Now, obviously, there, of course, is the whole Balan Wonderworld Metroid Dread situation, where if Metroid Dread sells over 3 million copies, due to the Spawncast bet that I have, I'm obligated to play this game. But maybe now I could play this game with a different set of eyes and a different mindset, because earlier today, Yuji Naka pulled the plug on this whole thing. He exposed the situation, he let the dam just rush into the city, and it involves a very interesting tale of both him and the publisher of the game, Square Enix. Like I said, this was not a small game by any stretch of the imagination. This was a Square Enix published game, and they were helping fund this game. It came out at a full $60 price point, and it was one of the worst games regardless of the platforms of 2021. Just look at the Metacritic scores for it. So you gotta wonder, what actually happened with this game? Why did everything just go to complete shit? Did Yuji Naka lose his touch? Or was there a deeper story? Like I said, we now have this deeper story, and there's a lot of stuff to go over. I'm simply going to read Yuji Naka's post from today talking about this situation with the game. I'll throw some gameplay or something up on the screen so you don't have to look at my ugly face the whole time, and then we'll sort of react to this. So here we go. This is being translated by Facebook because Yuji Naka is a man of Japanese descent. I'm sure his English isn't all that great. So we're basically going to read this, and if there's any sort of weird stuff, like I said, I'll just sort of, circumvent it. 6 months before the launch of Balan Wonderworld, a work order was issued removing me as director. So I filed a lawsuit in court against Square Enix. I would like to tell you that the court case is over, and the work order is no longer in effect at this time. Square Enix does not care about games, and game fans is no good. According to the court documents, I was removed as director of Balan Wonderworld on 2 points. It was executed by the producer, advertising, sound, director in charge, and human resources. First, a YouTuber was going to play the piano and publish the score of a game song for a promotion, and I got in trouble because I thought it was strange that the music was arranged and a ghostwriter wrote the score, and I insisted on publishing the score of an original song. Second, according to court documents, what I said in response to Azrest's submission of the game without fixing it, despite the fact that there were glitches in the development process. That my comments to make the better game are disrupting my relationship with Azrest. Another point is that Oshima wrote in an email to Fujimoto, "I have gathered the staff together and informed them about the matter of shifting the trial version. The decision was made by producer Fujimoto. We will do our best, Mr. Fujimoto." The staff applauded and cheered. This was unexpected and we were very moved. The staff, who tended to be down lately, has been revitalized. Thank you very much. The entire staff will do our best. But it doesn't matter because the schedule is decided by the producer, not me. And the producer decided that the schedule is tight. Something is not right. I still think it was not a good idea to release an original game only to have a sheet music of the arranged music available to the world. I think there is a game music that everyone is familiar with that makes your mouth water, and I think that is the original game music. I believe that a game should be made with the intention of making it a good game until the very end, so that fans can enjoy it when they buy it. I think it is strange to remove a director who comments on a game without consulting him, because there is no time to do so. Retweets, likes, etc. on social networking sites were also banned, so I think Square Enix is not taking good care of their game's fans. There was a lot of various comments and very nice illustrations of Balan Wonderworld, and I'm sorry that I couldn't do anything about it. I am truly sorry to the customers who bought my unfinished Balan Wonderworld. In the future, I may be able to respond to you if you mention me or tag me on social networking sites. I think it is only natural to request modifications to make the game better since we are making the game, and if we can't do that, we should just discuss it, but it seems that we can't do that either. I don't think that they were able to take care of the game. Sonic the Hedgehog has changed 2 weeks before my master up to a spec where if you had even one ring you would not die. I did things that made the game better until the last minute, and I believe everyone in the world is still enjoying Sonic the Hedgehog today. Game creators are supposed to improve their games until the very last minute, and to prevent them from doing so is still not right. I asked for a lawyer and tried to negotiate with them, at least submit comments until the end, but to no avail, so I filed a lawsuit in court. I believe that this case has a lot to do with the fact that Balan Wonderworld is getting the results and the recognition that you all know. It is really unfortunate that a work I created from the beginning has such a result. It is a real shame we released the unfinished work Balan Wonderworld to the world. I wanted to release it to the world as an action game in a proper form, considering various things. I think Square Enix and Azrest are companies that do not care about games and game fans. Holy shit balls! Wow. This feels a lot like a situation with Kojima and Konami and Metal Gear Solid 5, because you played Metal Gear Solid 5, and I'm a diehard Metal Gear fan. You know, I used to collect all this stuff and whatnot. You look at that game and you're like, okay, the core concepts of it are good, but the execution of it was just lacking. And, you know, the story was weird as well. And you kind of know why, because Kojima was pretty much let go from the project midway through. Now, this obviously was a little bit later on, but 6 months is still a lot of time. You know, 6 months, you could fix a lot of things in 6 months. And I always felt that Balan was interesting when you just look at what they were trying to do, because essentially, let's be real, it looked a lot like Knights. And I know a lot of people make the, oh, you AAA Knights, blah, 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 you stupid RGT, but look at it. Look at the game. You have two different characters, a boy and a girl, much like in Knights. They both have different things going on, much like in Knights. You have this androgynous top hat character who seemed like they were going to play a big part, much like in Knights. But then you get to the game and you realize that the character with the top hat is simply just used as like an afterthought. This is the character on the front of the box. This is the character that you would think you would at least play as, but no, all you do is QuickTime events with them. So what happened here? Why are companies doing this where they're taking people and they're having them create a game and then they're like, you know what, we're not happy with this. We need to meet this deadline. We need to do this. We can't do anything with it because it's not helping anyone. All it does is it makes your company, first and foremost, look stupid. Square Enix looks like complete assholes in this situation because they essentially rushed a game to the market without caring for the fans, without making sure that it was complete. just to simply make some money. And I mean, I understand that money is needed for corporations to exist, but you released the game in March. It's not like you couldn't, delay it a little bit. If it was a holiday game, okay, maybe I could understand it from the business side of things a little bit more, because you don't want to miss out on the holiday sales. But we're talking about March. Like, and really, if a game is good, it's going to sell anyways, regardless of when it releases. I mean, look at Elden Ring. Like, people are buying that game left and right. One of the best-selling games of all time, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, released in March. So I don't understand the decision to get rid of Yuji Naka simply for expressing some concerns. And then that's probably the build that they were at with that game. That's probably the build that Balan Wonderworld was at when he was removed from the project. And it's like, what in the hell are we doing? What in the hell is going on with Square Enix? And it's interesting to me because I'm not trying to dogpile on Square Enix or anything like that, but look at some of their releases lately. Yeah, they've had some bangers, of course, but some of the things have just been very questionable. The whole Chrono Cross remaster thing that has performance issues that makes the game run worse than the PlayStation 1 version. Of course, Babylon's Fall, that was a joint effort between Square Enix and Platinum Games. The game sucks. The game is not good. What is going on? Are they doing too many things? Are they trying to control too many things? Because removing the person whose idea this game was, who's essentially creating this new character that I think could have been very successful for fans of games like Sonic the Hedgehog and Knights and stuff like that, and removing him from the project for really no reason, that's a telling tale. That's a telling tale of sort of the underbelly of the video game industry. And now it's something that we're seeing more and more, with cases like harassment and, sexual harassment, lawsuits, crunches. We're really starting to see the underbelly. And it looks like that nobody is safe from this, and no matter what sort of tier you're on, you could be the person who literally created the game and literally made this your own creation and still get removed for a trivial thing that really makes no sense. So I think this really has to change the perception of the game, because I was hard on Yuji Naka. I had said things like maybe he's lost his touch, maybe it's time for him to ride off into the sunset. But how much of this situation was Yuji Naka's fault and how much of the situation was Square Enix's fault? I think most of the blame has to lie on Square Enix at this point, because they essentially shipped a product that they knew wasn't complete and got rid of the head of the project 6 months before releasing it for no rhyme or reason, because they wanted to make a quality game. Now, of course, this is just one side of the story with this, but judging by, previous cases, judging by how the video game industry works, I'm pretty sure Yuji Naka's telling the truth. I mean, he took that shit to trial, bitch. If you don't know that song, please look that song up. Trial Time by The Last Mr. Biggs, a hood classic when I was in high school. But he took it to trial. And obviously, you're not going to take something to a court case if you don't believe in it. So maybe Yuji Naka deserves a pass for this game. Maybe there was more to the story than we realized. But unfortunately, Yuji Naka is one of the few people who have spoken up about it. How many other cases have there been with games that come out on various platforms where there's a story like this, and we never get to hear that story because of things like NDAs or, embargoes or silenced agreements that you can't talk about this until maybe a later date. And then maybe by the time that lifts, the person doesn't really care anymore because they've moved on. They're no longer in the industry, or they've just decided to go under the radar with stuff like that. I don't know, man. When I saw this morning, I was like, holy shit. This has to be the most controversial Nintendo Switch story, because obviously the Switch version of the game was the worst version of the game, but the game wasn't great across any platform. You maybe could enjoy it a little bit more on other platforms, but now we have a reason as to why, and it's not really Yuji Naka's fault. So I just wanted to tell this story with you guys, because obviously, Balan is a running joke here on the channel. But even if I do have to play that game, at least I could take a little bit of confidence knowing that, hey, they knew this wasn't a good game. They knew that they were rushing this to the marketplace. This wasn't the game that they intended to do. This wasn't the game that they intended to release. They just released it because money. And they got rid of Yuji Naka before the game released. And you know, I could take a little bit of, you know, peace in knowing that. And that's an important thing because I'm probably going to have to play the game. I hope you guys enjoyed this story because I really enjoyed telling it. And, you know, feel free to share this video around. I know there's a lot of old school Sega fans on the channel who, you know, grew up respecting Yuji Naka and loving him, and to see his last game, I mean, essentially what's probably going to be his last big budget game, just be such a piece of shit. It stung. It stung, you know. It was like your childhood hero had just, you know, become, you know, a shadow of what he once was, a Shadow the Hedgehog. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Check out other videos on the channel as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.